Hi, and welcome to the post-Darkroom induction, where we'll take you through the space and show you how to use it in a safe manner. If you feel like you need a more in-depth induction, feel free to book a face-to-face session at the cost of £20. Just contact a member of the post team to arrange this. If you are a complete Darkroom beginner, you can also book one of our Introduction to Black and White Printing Darkroom courses online. Entrance to the Darkroom is through the light trap, a set of double doors that prevent daylight entering the darkroom when in use. Keep an eye on the red light above the door, which will let you know if somebody is using the darkroom. Once in the light trap, close the external door. Only go through the second door if the first door is closed behind you. If somebody other than yourself is using the darkroom, please knock on the internal door before entering.
Lights to the space are operated by the switch on the left as you come in. There is white light for working in full visibility, and red light under which it is safe to use unexposed photo paper. You can tell the difference between the red light and the white light in the dark using touch, because the red light has got a sticker on it which will differentiate it from the white switch which doesn't. The white light must be switched on when mixing or setting out chemicals. Developing chemicals are provided by post. However, it is your responsibility to mix a batch if they become expired during your session. Please see our guide for identifying exhausted chemistry. Please mix the chemicals for all trays at the same time. We suggest that you will need to remake chemistry after 40 8x10 resin-coated prints have gone through it. If you're using fibre-based prints, it will be half that, so you'll need to remix new chemistry after 20 fibre-based prints. Please remember, don't pour any chemicals down the sink. The silver in them is toxic to the environment, and we have a way of disposing of them ecologically. Exhausted chemistry should be poured into the waste chemical bottles which are stored underneath the sink. Keep track of prints that have gone through the chemistry by marking them on the chems tracker which we've attached to the whiteboard. Each tally point is worth one 8x10 resin-coated print. If you're mixing new chemicals, please log the information on the chems mixing sheet which is kept with the mixing utensils. When it comes to the trays, lay them out in order of development. That means you've got Dev, which is often green, Stop, which is red, and Fix, which will be white. Remember, the chemicals are shared, so it's important that we look after them correctly. That means making sure that any excess chemicals is dripped back into the tray before moving it into the next tray. Once you moved a print from one tray to the next, do not send it back, as this will lead to contaminated chemicals. Each set of tray has its own tongs, and you should use each tong with each chemical. If you use tongs for different chemicals, then you're going to lead to contamination again. Avoid shaking your print above the tray, because this can also lead to contamination. Moving prints through the trays in the correct order will help prevent cross-contamination and help prolong the chemicals.
When it comes to the enlargers, you will find the lenses here, the lens boards in here, and the negative carriers in here. You'll need to select one of each to correctly match the negatives that you plan to print with. All of this equipment will work in either enlarger, though there is some differences between the two machines. The first and most obvious difference between the two enlargers is the console we use to control the exposure time. Both allow you to control time in tenths of seconds, whole seconds, and tens of seconds. But enlarger 1 works with a rotary system, while enlarger 2 works with a digital pad. The other main difference is how contrast filtration is controlled. Both enlargers allow you to control contrast filtration, but they operate under different logics. For black and white contrast filtration, we're going to ignore the cyan dial on enlarger 1, but leaving magenta and yellow on 0 and 0 is considered a contrast filtration of grade 2 and is a really good starting point. If you want your images to have more contrast, we use the magenta dial to increase the number. The higher the value, the more contrasty your prints will become. Alternatively, if you want less contrast and a flatter image, from 0, 0, we increase the yellow dial. As the number gets higher, you'll be reducing the contrast in the image. The lever here controls engagement of filtration, allowing preview of your image at full brightness. On enlarger 2, you can change the contrast by using the buttons on the right of the unit. It scales from 0 to 5, with 2 being a good starting point. The focus light on enlarger 2 will always preview without the filters engaged for best clarity. For more information about controlling contrast, check out the books above the sink. There are a selection of easel masks below each enlarger. Each enlarger has its own set of easels, as well as a focus finder and a neg blower. Please make sure they're kept with each enlarger. Enlarger 2 also has a dedicated foot switch.
When you are washing your prints, you can use the archival print washer. Fill it by turning the tap on and making sure that the outflow is closed. Once the washer is full, use the tap to reduce the flow of water into the washer. Please don't use the archival washer to wash your test strips, as they are difficult to recover. You can use a spare tray and the overflow pipe from the washer to improvise an overflow tray. This should be an easier way to handle your test strips. If the washer isn't your bag, feel free to disconnect the pipe from the washer and feed it into a spare tray. But please make sure that the pipe goes back into the washer at the end of your session.
Once you have finished washing your prints, you have a number of options. You can use the drying racks, but please note that if you leave your prints behind, we will endeavour to store them once they're dry, but we cannot be responsible for them. Always treat left behind work with respect. You can also use the resin coated dryer. Use it on double red spot at speed number 2. Ensure that the surface on the output side of your dryer is dry. Always line up your print straight to the rollers and feed them through lengthways. Watch your print to make sure it passes out the far side. The corners can curl and therefore catch internally. Don't put the same print through the dryer twice, as it will overheat the resin coat of your print. Always test with a print of lesser importance to ensure that it's operating correctly. Once you're confident it's working, make sure to just feed through one print at a time. Please make sure that it's turned off when you finish with it. You can also use the negative drying cabinet too. The thermostat is set between 35 to 40 degrees, which can help your print dry in 30 to 40 minutes, either on a gauze shelf or in the upright print drying rack on the glass shelf. But again, please make sure that it's turned off when you finish.
So the whiteboard is here for you to use in any way you want during your session. But just make sure that the cans are definitely marked on this piece of paper. You can use it to write any notes for yourself, or you can write notes to other people in the other people that use the Darkroom. But just keep in mind that it can be wiped clean. So if you're trying to communicate something important with the rest of the group, just do it on the WhatsApp group. Once you have 30 minutes left of your booking, it's time to start packing up. If your chemicals are exhausted, pour them into the waste chemical bottles that are provided. If they still have life in them, pour each chemical into its corresponding bottle. Remember to push down the bottles before putting on the lid. This prevents oxidization and helps them live longer. If the chemistry is exhausted, leave mixing the next batch to the next user. Empty the washer by pulling up the outflow and make sure to turn off the tap. You can use the water from the outflow to wash out both the trays and the sink. Once the washer is empty, you can get any excess water to the sink plug by using the squeegee. Wash used trays inside and out. Trace chemicals can contaminate other trays when dry and stacked. Leave washed trays upside down but not stacked so that they can drip dry. Wipe down the surfaces and clean up any spillages that you haven't already taken care of, especially the floor. Make sure that everything has been returned back to its home in the darkroom. You can consult our darkroom map if you need to. Please turn off the enlargers at the wall and turn off the lights. If there's no one coming in after you, prop open the door so that the darkroom can remain aerated.